Pinpoint Weather on NBC5 News is brought to you by the Cow Creek Umpqua Tribe.
Hey, welcome back to NBC5. I told you just a little bit ago about the beautiful sunset we had last night. Had some mammoth clouds that's showing turbulence. Those little kind of sacks of clouds right there you see. That's showing turbulence from some of the thunderstorm activity we had yesterday. Huge shout out to Chuck for sending in that photo. We had a few more great photos sent in of this activity, but as you're seeing, your top headlines, more activity with the rain and storms expected here for today. Most of the coverage continues in Northern California and across our eastern counties, but we're still seeing that potential here in the valley. And of course, that brings in more lightning potential with possible new fires. Now, as we're getting into this weekend, we're going to start to see a little bit of a lower potential, and it does look to mainly stay out to our east and Northern California. A cool down on the way as we're heading off into this late weekend and to start off next week. And with that, it's going to be short-lived. We get right back into the heat as we're getting into the rest of next week. Not too bad of a July, dare I say. We only had a few 100-degree temperatures. 105 the hottest day on the 13th. The coolest day down to 82 degrees. That was both the 21st and the 4th, but we still stayed 3.3 degrees above normal in our high temperatures. When we look at rainfall, we only picked up a quarter of an inch here in Medford. If you were in South Medford yesterday, even Talent, Phoenix, they picked up some rainfall, but the airport stayed dry. Quarter of an inch, that's still 0.01 above normal. That's for Medford. Looking at Klamath Falls, look at their temperature difference a little bit closer to where they normally are for July, which is 86.3 degrees. 86.5 is what their average high temperature was. And a lot of days, again, in the 80s and lower 90s. They had a few days in the 70s even. In terms of precipitation, though, this is where they did much better, well above where they normally are by over an inch, almost an inch and a half. Of course, yesterday picking up 3/4 of an inch, the most for the month. Now, when we look at what's bringing all of the storms within our area, we still have a range of the high pressure to our southeast and the low pressure that's been up here for the last several days. We've had a few little disturbances moving around this low, keeping our thunderstorm activity very active, and we'll see that here for today and again on Sunday. So when we look at activity kicking up yet again just after lunchtime here today, very isolated in nature to start off the day, and then it kind of becomes more scattered for our area. And again, you see this developing in southern Jackson, Josephine County, and some of this, it's not fast-moving storms, so that potential of some heavier rainfall for where these storms are located, and they're slower movers, which means they're just dumping that rain and potentially some smaller sized hail and some gusty wind. As we head into the nighttime hours, things clear out again for your Saturday. That lower potential of maybe some isolated storms out east and further south. Lower potential here in the valleys for us on your Saturday, even looking into Sunday. Expected rainfall again, some pockets of some heavy rain will be possible within our area here as we're getting through this afternoon, as well as some of the gusty wind from some of these storms kicking out some outflow boundaries. Now, in terms of lightning, likely some abundant lightning. We're going to be watching, especially as we're getting into the next few days of the drier conditions. Although we cool off, we're also getting into a drier forecast, so there's still that potential of new fires being started. We are definitely cooling down though. Mid-80s for your Sunday and Monday. Morning lows will drop off into the mid-50s to start off next week. We'll get back into some warmth as we head into the end of next week. We might even get a little bit closer to triple digits by next weekend, so something to think about in your outlook. When we look at the Klamath Basin, they still continue with a slight chance for some rain and storms through at least Sunday. That front's moving in and a weak disturbance kicking those temperatures down into the upper 70s for your Monday and then back into the 80s pretty quickly. And again, a little bit more wind for your Sunday, breezier conditions for our area. That slight chance for storms even continues in Northern California, but most of the coverage of storms expected here for this Friday. The coastline pretty dry, though there is a slight chance for some showers on Sunday, especially on the northern coastline. Rest of the forecast into next week looks pretty quiet.